and welcome to our visit to the National Trust Stourhead in Wiltshire. Nestled in the English countryside, between the cities of Wells and Salisbury, you'll find this grand Palladian house and landscape gardens. And this is the story of our visit on a pleasant day in July. We parked up and headed to the ticket office. Our route then took us through the walled garden to the Stableyard. From here it was up to the house before heading back to follow the garden path around the estate. This took us through the Grotto, past the Gothic Cottage and onto the Pantheon. From here we head towards the Palladium Bridge and past the Temple of Apollo and pick up that iconic viewpoint. We scoot around the Bristol Cross before exiting. We pass St Peter's Church and arrive at the Spread Eagle and the end of our visit. So let's take a look around then. We'll kick off with the Stableyard and just a little housekeeping. The description below is full of details and links, so I'll pop Stourhead's National Trust website link in. This will give you prices, opening times and the address. As we round the corner and head towards the house, a quick word about the BBC programme Hidden Treasures of the National Trust. Stourhead features in Series 2, Episode 3, narrated by the wonderful Jim Carter, or, as you may know him, Carson from Downton Abbey. The house was built between 1721 to 1725, so it's 300 years old, but in its day it was groundbreaking. It was built for Henry Hoare I, son of Hoare's bank founder Sir Richard Hoare. As you step into the entrance hall, you're greeted with portraits of the family members, good and not so good. And the portrait that takes centre stage is Henry's son, Henry the Magnificent. A bit more about him in the moment, but as we step into the next room, I'll be quiet for a moment. That was so nice I didn't want to ruin it. I assume that was the music room, but the truth is, I don't know. Actually, I missed the names of all the rooms. This looks like the breakfast room. If you do know, then please leave me a comment. Okay, I know this is the library with its fabulous lunette window. You may have also noticed mannequins wearing dresses throughout the house. This is because the National Trust has a new exhibition focusing on the lives of the women who lived at Stourhead. These ladies turned a grand country house into a home. The library tells the story of Lady Alda Hoare, an avid reader and friend of Thomas Hardy and his wife Emma. Today the library looks so light and airy. Now it's time to step out towards the central staircase. In 1902 there was a fire at Stourhead which caused damage to the central section and the top floor was gutted. So while most of the house remained the same, this staircase hall, west front and saloon were remodelled. The mentioned saloon, which is where I think we'll head next, leads me to the black sheep of the family, Sir Henry Ainsley Hoare. He liked the high life and run up some gambling debts. That, mixed with an agricultural depression, led him to auction off the contents of Stourhead in 1883. He left Stourhead in 1885 and it wasn't until 1894 that his cousin Sir Henry Hugh Arthur Hoare inherited a run-down estate. He and his wife, Lady Alda, restored Stourhead to its former glory and, upon their deaths in 1947, bequeathed it to the National Trust. As we step into our next room, one last word about Sir Henry and his wife. They died on the same day, the 25th of March 1947, within 6 hours of one another. He was aged 81, she a little older. I think this is the Italianate room, happy to be corrected, and amongst the fabulous works of art is restoration ongoing, an important part of the National Trust's work. Here we get a glimpse of the Italian landscape that inspired Henry the Magnificent's vision for Stourhead. Also worth mentioning is the amount of furniture made by Thomas Chippendale the Younger at Stourhead. Fine English craftsmanship at its finest. When we get to the next room, however, there's a piece that takes your breath away, and that's the Pope's cabinet, created in Rome in around 1585. The base for it was created a little later, in 1742. By the way, I think we're in the cabinet room. The next room is the picture gallery. Let's take a look. I love the National Trust for their room guides. These are the people who bring these magnificent homes to life. The picture drawing the attention is Penelope and Euclair, as featured in the TV programme I mentioned. We could spend an age here, but the truth of the matter is we're a little pushed for time. Oh well, just a 2.2 mile walk around the lake to go now. So let's get strolling and take in those views that Tim Parker, head gardener here, is so rightly proud of. Sir Henry the Magnificent. Let's call him our Henry to make it easier. Boxing fans may have caught a historical reference there. Anyway, our Henry was a visionary who created a garden to provide a series of vistas, as well as a few surprises. We're now heading towards the Grotto. As I said, it's full of little surprises. I wonder what it would have been like for visitors in the 18th and 19th centuries. Hopefully you're enjoying what we've put together. If you are, and you're not already subscribed, why not? And click that notification bell so you don't miss our future travels. And whether you're subscribed or not, if you're enjoying it, then give us a like. We'd really appreciate it. Oh, and I love comments, so drop us one. I have a book, Gardens of the National Trust by Stephen Lacey, and Stourhead is featured on pages 328 to 331. The photography demonstrates that Stourhead looks beautiful all year round. Our next viewpoint is the Gothic Cottage, and we can take a little look inside. As we continue around the lake, I need to point out, as well as the 2.2 mile walk, there is a 1.7 mile accessibility route. This takes out some of the steep climbs and more challenging terrain. We've arrived at the Pantheon, that Italian classical architecture again. And of course, you're going to want to step inside. The attention to detail is stunning, as you would expect in a temple to the Roman gods. Once outside, admire the Pantheon again. Take in those views, safe in the knowledge you're over halfway. I think it goes without saying, but you're walking around the lake, and if you're in charge of little ones, or mischievous big ones, keep an eye on them. It's easy to get distracted here. One thing I should mention regarding accessibility is that there are buggy tours available. You just need to ask at reception. I'm slightly disappointed I didn't allow more time. Salisbury is calling, but I guess that gives me an excuse to return one day. It seems I'm now following the accessibility trail, because on the hillside above is the Temple of Apollo. And that is the Palladium Bridge. You can't cross it, but it does make another excellent feature for the garden. And just for a moment, I'll be quiet and let the landscape do the talking. And now we have the Bristol Cross, which is a medieval spire, unsurprisingly from Bristol. and the oldest man-made structure at Stourhead Bridge. And we now find ourselves at the Lakeside garden entrance. We pass St Peter's Church as we make our way to the car park via the Spread Eagle Inn. And no, I didn't. No time. Well, I guess that brings this video to an end. The first in our Wells and Salisbury road trip. I hope you've enjoyed what we put together. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, and happy travels.